In today's video we're going to be covering the leaked 87 max rated hero pack. So just before the video does start, a quick little ad on a trading service I offer over on Twitch for the cheapest trading guides out there for just £4, €4 or free with Amazon Prime. You'll receive daily trading and investing guides covering PlayStation, Xbox and PC with an array of methods covering all budgets. And I've been trading for over 10 years, making over 100 million in multiple different FIFAs, and now for the last 4 years I've made 10 million coins in just the first month. So the 87 max rated hero pack has been leaked and there is a lot of hype around it. So first off, let's go and talk about buying SBC fodder for it. Now the SBC is likely to cost about 150k. It is likely to go and require, anything from an 85, an 86, an 87 rated squad with an inform potentially. So, do you want to go and buy fodder for this SBC? And the answer for this is no. But why not? Well, the reason for that is because, of course, it got leaked last night, which means that fodder is already inflated. Let's go and show you guys some of these examples. For example, 85s have gone from 4.2 up to 4.9. We can look at 86s, which have gone from 6.8 already up to 8.9. We look at 87s, have already gone from 11k to 14k. We can look at the likes of 88s that have gone from 15k up to 18k. And finally 89s that have gone from 21 to 24.5. So, but they're not that inflated. Sometimes 88s and 89s went to 50k last week. Yeah. Now, that does occur only under extremely specific requirements, which more likely than not are very, very unlikely we will come across. And in fact, what has happened is fodder is actually more inflated this year than it was after the SBC came out last year. Now there is an argument people use of saying, oh, but this rated was this price, and the 87s for 14k is an amazing deal. Well, what you have to realise is EA don't actually give a toss what ratings they required last year. The reason you can tell EA did not give a toss of what ratings they required last year is because if EA went for the same rated squads than they did last year for someone like Beckham would not only be 507k, Beckham would be like 250k. But EA do not care what ratings they wanted for SBCs last year, which is how we have 88 rated squads by the plenty being needed for these sort of SBCs. And why these sort of SBCs are not cheap, because EA again don't care what they required in the past years. All they care about is how much is the current fodder and how much it's going to cost this year. So what you want to do to see that these players are overinflated is I can basically go and look at someone like Parejo. If we go look at Parejo last year, I can show you the first two hero SBCs and how much he went up. So we grab his card from last year. There it is. So the first two SBCs occurred on the 24th of October. So the first one was here, where he went from 14.5 to 16.3. The second one was on the 8th of October, where he went from 14.1 up to 16.5. So 2.5k rises across the board. Now, some people go, oh, but 86s aren't up 2.5. Again, EA don't care about that. What they do care about is some fodder that is 16k in the first place. And a good example of this from this year is 14k in the first place, is the likes of 88. So again, we look at Parejo in the first place, he was 14k and he went up 16k. So he went up 2k for the SBC. Well, if we go look at someone like Reynard, she was 15k yesterday, now she's up to 18k. So we can see that fodder at the moment has risen a higher percentage this year than it actually rose for the hero pack. And that's fodder across the board for the hero pack last year. Across the board, fodder did not really rise for hero pack number 1 or hero pack number 2. It was only when they needed 388s for the hero pack / icon pack is when they banged. So the rises we've seen on fodder this year, again, are another like 10% on what they were last year. And as a result, what's going to happen is the pack's going to come out tonight, and then more likely than not, the fodder that you've bought is over-invested and it's going to go down in price. Again, unless you get lucky and they go for a minimum rating requirement X, and that's the rating you've invested in. So fully recommend selling your fodder pre. And there's another reason I recommend selling your fodder pre, and that's because you can go and buy cards that are being panic sold. So we can go and look at some heroes from last year. Let's go and pick the likes of Rollin. So what we can see is how did these icons react last year. So if we go and grab Brolin last year, and again the first pack came on the 24th of October, we can see that Brolin, with the release of the first hero pack, went from 200k to 234k. This card went up 34k after a hero SBC came out. But why? Well, the reason for this is there basically would have been panic selling going into it, everyone expecting to pack something good, they don't pack anything good, and then everyone is now rushing to buy the players they want, you know, I guess ahead of the Weekend League or for their team. So as a result, we saw a rise on Brolin with the first Weekend League, first pack. Now, what I will say is on the second pack, we did see a drop. So the first pack, we saw a rise right here of about 15%. The second time we saw the pack was on the 8th of November, and we did actually see him drop 10%. So 15% rise and a 10% drop. So in my mind, at worst case scenario, we see a 10% drop from what they averaged yesterday. Not what they averaged before the pack, from what they averaged yesterday. Which means, if we go look at some players, for example, let's go for the likes of, we'll go for Donovan, because I know he was good earlier. So for example, if we look at Donovan. Now Donovan yesterday averaged 111k. So we believe that in worst case scenario, this card goes down 10k. Which means that worst case scenario, tomorrow, or I guess today, the card is going to go and average 100k. So, when Donovan earlier today went down to the likes of 90k, I said, people, you know, you want to buy this card when it stops dropping 90k onwards. It said average the hour for 91k, but there were cards for 88, 89, and so. Because in my opinion, worst case scenario, this card you only make 5k profit on. But best case scenario, we get the trend that happened on the first hero pack, which I'd say there's potentially a higher chance of the trend from the first hero pack occurring than the second hero pack. The card is actually going to be 10% more than it was yesterday, or 15% more than it was yesterday, which means that tomorrow he'll be 125 and you bought the card for 95. So basically it's like no risk, very high reward if it works out. And there are multiple heroes, again, like this. You're just going to need to go through and research what were they averaging for yesterday, and then you want to get them 15 to 20% cheaper than that. So Nakata, again, right now is 111. He's rebounded a little bit so far. 111, and earlier he went down to 100. So right there, you could have got him 10% cheaper. Worst case scenario, maybe lose coins on attacks. Best case scenario, tomorrow he's up to 130, and you go and make yourself 20k a card. You know, so those are the sort of trends we might see. Now there is a second sort of investment you can go with that I would say is less risky, and that's cards that aren't in packs. Now obviously if cards aren't in packs, it means that, you know, they're not going to get packed with division rivals, and in theory there's no increase in supply, unlike there is an increase in supply in the heroes. Which means cards like Doku, who yesterday was averaging 61k, are now down to 55k and potentially getting them cheaper. That means that Team of the Weeks are down 10% from yesterday. Now, I don't believe that they're exactly going to rise too much more than they are today, tomorrow. But let's say you get yourself a decent deal on Doku for 63. You go and sell him, 53. You go and sell him tomorrow at 61. That's going to be an 8k difference with a 3k tax and a 5k profit. Also, these cards can rise over the weekend if they are desired enough. Maybe less so Doku with the card being desired enough. You'd more maybe be looking at maybe like a Lamptey. Lamptey again is also a card that's down. Yesterday this card averaged at 103. Today he's already had lows of 96, which means we might get lows a little bit lower. And this card will probably rise over the weekend, just like he's been rising every single weekend. But you get him on a dip. Because again, what is the odds that you're going to go and pack a hero that's going to go and replace Lamptey? Very, very low. Because Dempsey can only play in Cam, and that's the hero that you're going to pack. And I'd say we've covered fodder. We've covered heroes that are being dropped, gold cards, and buying your team. So gold cards, interesting enough, aren't as panic sold as heroes. I kind of guess makes sense. You can't get gold cards in this SBC, but you can get heroes. So if we go grab the likes of Diaby, we can see that Diaby yesterday was going for 48, and he's going for 47 today. There's no panic selling around this hero pack. Now, if we see a drop of about 20% after the hero pack, because it doesn't look like he's dropping much pre, I would say that'll probably be the cheapest he'll be up until maybe Saturday, Sunday. But yeah, if he doesn't drop after the hero pack, you're literally just gonna wait till your classic Saturday. I mean, wait as late as you can, but it'll probably be the cheapest if we look at it. I believe it's Saturday morning. Yeah, we'd be looking at Saturday morning, then he should be rebounding, if not a Sunday morning and then rebounding. If you're on him for your weekly team, the reality is you can't use him for your weekly team without losing coins, because that is gold cards. Same with heroes and icons. If they drop, you know, I guess the more expensive the cards. If the more expensive cards, let's say 200k plus, drop 10% with this hero pack, look at buying them, because I doubt they'll be much cheaper this weekend. But if cards 50k, 30k, 60, 70k drop, don't drop more than 20% with a hero pack, well, they'll probably drop that over the weekend. I'd say that's about all she wrote. Thank you very much for watching the video. Hope it's given you guys a nice update, and see you guys tomorrow with a brand new video.